G'day everyone, what is happening? How are we? I'm Anthony and let's dig into today's topic. So Solana is what we're talking about and it's an interesting one. Let's dig in. For those of you unaware, Solana is having a token release schedule in the next couple of days where they're basically going from 10% of tokens released up to like 95%. And so what that means, basic supply and demand, is that there's going to be a massive amount of supply in the marketplace now. And so that supply has to go somewhere. So we're just going to dissect what are the potential plays, what could happen, you know, is this priced in, is it not, and everything like that. And so first up, the important part is to see who's actually getting an increase in the tokens that they're actually receiving. And so you can see that from here, currently we've only got 1.64% on the coin list and the community, a little bit of the foundation. But when it goes to this now, you know, the seed sale, the founders, community is a lot bigger. And so you already know that a few of these potential people may look to take some profits or take some out of the table. And just because something is released doesn't mean it's going to dump, because obviously if people are extremely bullish on the project, it could actually go higher, because now people know that this is the supply, that everything's out there now and it's, you know, it can rally. And so what we've got is, you know, seed sale. Are some of those people going to take some profits? Probably. You wouldn't really think that the team and the foundation is really going to start dumping tokens. I mean, it's not really too bullish for the project, but there's plenty of reasons that may push this project higher, even still with this sort of unlocking of tokens. And so pretty much what this means is these people got locked up, they weren't able to do anything with them. The only thing you could potentially do is hedge it in the futures, and so, or in the perpetuals, and so now is the opportunity for people to actually net those positions out and close them out. So let's jump over to CoinGecko and have a look at it. So currently market cap 95 million. So a lot of people get distracted obviously with market cap and they focus on that, but really what you want to look at is your fully diluted valuation. What is it actually worth when all the supply is out there? And the circulating supply here, you know, we've got 46 out of 488 million. So we know that this is going to significantly increase. You know, we know that the market cap of this is going to basically go to 1 billion, just under $1 billion at the current prices at around $2. And we know that's going to happen on the 7th of January. And so now, how do we play it? What's the play? So let's have a think of some ideas. So if you just base this off the market cap, let's look at a 1 billion fully diluted valuation. Where does that sit Solana in comparison to some other coins? And so it pretty much moves it into the total of, you know, Binance US dollar, YB token, Neo, that sort of a range. And so it's a case of like, all right, well, is this project worthy of being in that? You know, does it have can it live up to the expectations of what everyone's talking about it being? You know, it's got, if we open up the actual thing here, you know, it says it has this many total transactions. I'm not 100% sure if this is entirely accurate. I mean, if it does, it's being used. And whenever we're looking at these sort of things, as long as people are using them and things are happening, it's a positive. And there's been a lot of different projects and stuff that I've read and come up with recently and seen that Solana has an impact on them. One of them actually that I come across recently was this project called Oxygen, which is, it's another DeFi sort of play here. This is obviously a little bit off topic, but might be where I'll chuck this in the description. This is a lot more targeted for more sophisticated people. You know, the core team is a lot of the major institutions at the moment, and they've got a lot of very well-known partners in the actual project You know, they're partnered in with obviously with these guys here. You know, FTX, Serum, Jump, and Genesis. And then there's also, where was it? Let's have a look and see. There was a part where it was talking about Solana, I think, with this one. Let's just have a look at the white paper. And so this project, very, very interesting as well. And I'll link this down for those who want to find more information about it. There we go. So that's going to be built on Solana. So this has probably always been one of the issues with Solana. The fact that this day was coming, this release date of all these tokens, and it's generally seen as a negative thing. You know, people dumping on people. Is there enough liquidity in the market to be able to handle it and everything like that? Like, you know, price could spike in this. We don't know. We don't know how it's going to happen. But what is interesting is the idea that has this already been priced in? And so let me just bring up a chart here for it, and we'll dig into it. And so now let's shuffle this over. So we'll just jump on the daily chart and we'll look at this here. So obviously you can see from September we had that pop. We almost reached $5, and if you actually look at the valuation for that, that's pretty much a fully diluted market cap of 2.5 billion from memory. I think it is, yeah, about that. And so that probably puts it, you know, in the same region as some of those other tokens. You know, I think Polkadot was maybe a little bit more than that now. I think actually might have been around that when it was there, but yeah, obviously it's gone double up now. But it puts it around that same sort of thing as Chainlink. So you really got to think of like, okay, is this that established like Chainlink is? Maybe your thoughts are that it is. I mean, it's definitely got some legs. This particular one, is it people calling Ethereum killers and all this? I'm not so sure. It's hard to beat the main ones. You know, we had that as a bit of support for the people who did want to take that short term. What was interesting though was that we retested down on the futures late December. You know, we even peaked down near $1.03 on the spot exchanges, and you know, there was probably many people that maybe thought, you know, is this the point at which people are hedging, maybe people are dumping in anticipation, you know, people panic selling and things like that into it. But we've got this day tomorrow and we've rallied up since. So does sort of make me think that this project could have a lot of upside if we don't get a dump. We don't get like a very strong dump. I mean, if we get something like this, you know, buying it to rally is probably actually makes sense. The interesting thing is, how do you play this? And I think regardless of what you think is going to happen with this, you know, it's probably a good project. It probably deserves to have a pretty strong valuation and a pretty big market cap on it. And really for me, it's a case of, okay, watch it. I'm going to be setting alerts. I think if we jump down to the lower time frames here, we will actually see, we'll just jump down to the hour. I'm very keen on setting alerts around this particular product now. You know, I want to see when it's breaking above and below key levels, because that's just going to tell us, okay, do we need to be paying attention to this? Because as you've seen for the last couple of days, volume and volatility has been quite high. If you actually zoom out and look at the amount of volume that's been done recently, it's quite a bit. You know, it never really had that much. It had this in here on those days, but lately it's been a lot of volume going through on this particular coin. And maybe that is people already hedging, so maybe this thing is already done. But yeah, the real crux of this is that if we see a spike down, I think any sort of spikes down, we're probably going to see people step in and buy it at some point. How far down? You know, I would love to see something like this happen, this particular pattern in here, where we have it drift down like we are now, that we have some sort of a capitulation move, and then that sort of ties in with, at some point tomorrow, or the next day even. Because remember, just because tokens are unlocked doesn't mean that people are going to be buying, or doesn't mean people are going to be selling out of their tokens. You know, some people might be on holidays, they might be away, it's still the beginning of the year, so there might be a few people who are like, well, I'm not really going to do anything with this yet, I'll just hold it. You know, some people are like, okay, I want the money, Bitcoin's rallying, Eth is rallying, I need to put this over into those. You know, maybe they've made a big return on Solana already, and so maybe they want to get out of it. I mean, that's sort of, let's see if we can look up what the Solana seed price was. So 4 cents. So people are making a pretty big return. On this. Oh wait, this one was March 24th, 22 cents. So that's almost 8x for that one. So maybe it was 4 cents for earlier people, because I just, here we go here. There we go. 4 cents for the seed round. So if we actually bring up this here and we look at this, right? So 16% of seed are going, right? And so the amount of people that got a seed token was, I mean, it's got it all here. There you go, 79 million. At a rate of 451, 6,000 BTC. So you can get a bit of an idea of how much like liquidity there may be. You know, if every single person in the seed sold, it'd be 80 million Solana that would be exiting. If you sort of look at the trading volumes, this is obviously dollar volume, so you would need to work out that divided by your token price. So it's actually quite a lot. Like it's 80 million, you know, at $2, it's 160 million in volume. So it's quite a bit. You know, it's definitely going to cause a lot of volatility. You know, if we go back to that chart and look at how much we sort of had down here. Do I have the volume at the top? Yep, there we go. Yeah, so we're getting 400,000 on there. If we go to the daily, actually, I'm trying to put volume on. So 7 million, 8 million, 4 million. So not a lot. There's not a lot in the spot that goes, that is transacted with. So be interesting to see how this pans out. You know, even on that massive day there, we had 8 million. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot, even just off people who were in from the seed rounds. They're yeah, 3.2 million. So 80 million Solana. And that's pretty much 80 million Solana is unlocked. So it's quite a bit. Founding sale is another 63 million Solana. You know, so if you work this out, you know, we got basically 80 million, 63 million. I don't know about validators. Strategic sale, this potentially might be people who have just been paid in Solana to promote it. This was quite big, obviously, in the ICO days. And there was 9 million there. And you know, your seed people are on side 50x. You know, your founding sale people are on side 10x. You know, you would assume that most of them would probably want to would want to hold it. You know, if you look at like random numbers, you know, 10%. If you look at 20% of people take the seed profits out or close that out, yeah, you may well see that. And then the coin list auction at 22 cents, but there was only 8 million sold there, and those, I mean, those people might take some out, but I think some of them were already in. Was that the case? Let's have a look. Coin auction sale. Yeah, the coin auction sale was really available from day one, so we don't need to worry about that. So we've really only got, it's about 145 million really. That's there. So that's quite a bit. One of the ways that I like to look at the behavior of this and what might happen, and what I'll do is I'll just bring up the chart, is look at the spot versus futures, because what you will find is, and we're seeing this at the moment, let me just, if you find spot starting to, actually you see futures get sold first because people will be hedging it, right? So if you're long your spot and you want to hedge your position, you basically just sell the futures, right? If people have done that already in the past, then everyone's long spot and short futures, or short some sort of a leveraged instrument, right? Whether that be on FTX or Binance. And so what you'll actually get when these tokens are unlocked, you'll actually get futures going up and spot going down, or you'll get a spike of one or the other. And what this basically means, and there was a great example of this on Ripple. So what you're starting to see now, so this is Solana against the perpetuals. This is spot versus futures, right? You're starting to see this trend up, which basically means people are probably selling the perpetual contract against their position in this. And so when the tokens are officially unlocked, you'll probably see this snap back down with either the USDT rallying back up. So this particular chart here represents this minus this. So if this particular chart continues to go up, it means either this is going higher than that, or that is going down more than that. Bit of a quick lesson in the spreads. So yeah, you might see this drift a bit higher before it snaps down. What I will bring up as well, I'll bring up the similar situation that happened in XRP. For those of you who do trade frequently, you will know that XRP had its airdrop, and its airdrop was quite an event. But we saw this happen here. We had a similar thing happen. So this was because the futures was selling off much harder, much more aggressive than the spot. And so as soon as that was finished, you had the spot catch up and the futures. So they basically, they're basically both going down. This was going down further. And then as soon as it came, they both, this sold off hard, but then this bounced back because everyone closed out that trade. They came back to, and that's why you have this big spike here. But unfortunately, you can't trade this spike because you can't short spot. Right, so that's a bit of an idea so far. I guess at the end of the day, the futures are probably going to get sold leading into it more than the spot. You're probably going to see a lot of volatility in the coming days, the next 2 to 3 days, as different people position themselves. You probably see it straight away. There'll be a lot of volume, a lot of crazy things happen. It'll be important to be having alerts. You might even, if you're really long-term bullish on this particular project, it might be worth spacing orders down the price. So I'll just chuck up the chart again, and we'll discuss this particular thing here. So let's just look at it on FTX. Solana per futures. Oh, this is a futures contract, so we really want the spot, don't we? Just give it that. Okay, so you might say to yourself, okay, I'm willing to just buy. Let's just go with the basic example of you want to buy $1,000 of this. So it might be a case of maybe you want to buy. If you think maybe the floor is how far can this go down? Well, there's a lot of volatility. You might even want to be cheeky and put some orders really down near $1 and try and get a bit of a capitulation. If it does, I mean that's falling 50%. That's quite an aggressive move if it does do that. However, it's not impossible. I can't say I've seen many things which have had such a big unlocking, but always possible. Anything's possible in crypto. But yeah, you might put an order at 1.8, an order at 1.6, order at 1.4, 1.2, and 250 at each or something, and that will get you in. But then at the same time too, you've got to have an idea too that if this doesn't capitulate, how do you want to trade it? If you're bullish on this market overall and you think it's going to go up, you've got to really have an idea of, okay, what am I willing to pay up to? If this spikes down not enough and then starts to really turn and go up, is 2.1 my highest price that I'll pay for this particular coin? And then you may want to have something set at that point which you do pay market there, and put the trade on. So a couple of different ways you can trade it. If we look at like sort of where we can target in this sort of thing, I think with this done, I think we can definitely break above it. I think you really probably want to be looking at, potentially, let me go to a 4-hour chart here. There's going to be a little bit of resistance up around here, around this 320 sort of mark, from these previous sort of highs and areas. And, that was sort of like the first high it created as well in the beginning. And then obviously you've got its all-time highs on the sort of that around the $5 mark. If you think of it now, where the market's extremely bullish and projects are taking off, wouldn't be surprised if we did see this at some point breaking all-time highs. However, once this is done, we can really start to get some traction and start to move higher. This project looks good for the long term. It's got a lot of people building on it and utilizing the technology. So it's fundamentally, it's pretty strong. As long as all the numbers are accurate that they're saying, it's got some good usage. The more things get built on it, the more transactions it has, the better usage for it, the more competitive it's going to be. So it's an exciting project. This is an exciting opportunity to take advantage of. If you can get some good prices, I think this is definitely going to be the confirmation of where price is going to go. You know what I mean? If we do just see it sort of start to, let me just remove some of these drawings off the screen. My one concern with it would be if we start to see it grind down super slow. I think that's probably where you just want to sort of wait and see. If we start to kind of get this sort of stuff, probably want to see what happens, because what that looks like is that people want to buy it, but that selling is just relentless. And so you really want to wait and see, because you don't want to be buying here. With these tokens, they offer leverage. You might want to buy on leverage. You might want to just buy the actual token itself. But if you are buying and you're buying on leverage, you're actually going to get those people squeezed out pretty aggressively if it continues to drift down. And people will be liquidated if they've already bought in here thinking that this was already priced in, which it could be. This could have been the low of this whole idea. We may just see this being the pullback now and this takes off. So we have to be very, very aware of both sides. The side that this could be priced in and that this has a lot of people who still need to get out. And as we've worked it out, you only need 10% of those seed and the other people and all that. And that's, you're looking at about 10 million Solana, which is about $20 million of volume. And at the moment, you don't really see $20 million of volume going through. So, especially on the spots. So, there are going to be a lot of people watching this. Let's just quickly have a look on CoinGecko to see if got it on the other thing. So yeah, I mean 9 million on OKX, 14 million on Binance. Where's FTX here? Yeah, oh, is that right? FTX USD. Those numbers seem awfully low. Very strange. Anyway, you know, even all of this all the way up is quite a lot. You know what I mean? That's, you know, probably 40 million. You know, 23, 30, 40, 50, 55 million. And you're looking at potentially there being, you know, 15, 20, you're looking at double, like that amount of volume just on people that want to sell, you know, not even including who was already in the market trading it. So you're going to see a lot of volatility. You probably want to know pretty quickly how you might want to play it. Have a couple of plans, have different scenarios for it, and yeah, just be mindful of a drift down, be mindful of spikes. You know, spikes are going to force you to be aggressive. If you kind of look at how Bitcoin and Ethereum have been reacting lately to spikes to the downside, it's been well supported. People have been willing to step in and buy it. Solana doesn't have that same sort of a macro, larger scale, I guess, group of people that just everyone wants to be buying it. You know, there's no, there's probably not as many big financial institutions out there wanting to buy a bunch of Solana at the moment. I mean, it could be, but it's, yeah, it should be good. If you got any questions or anything like that, chuck it in the comments, and yeah, we'll go from there. But you know, my target with this, what I would say is, you know, I'll be buying from this point lower with a target of probably around that $5 mark, the all-time highs. I think you could probably take up a bit of profit. Potentially looking for it to go higher. I mean, you know, at 1 billion valuation, it goes to 2 billion, that's a $4 price. It goes to 3 billion, that's a $6 price. 3 billion puts it around the same sort of thing as an EOS and a Monero. You know, it's probably a top 15, 20 coin, and in my opinion, and we'll see how it goes from there. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for tuning in.